Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And today I thought I'd share with you one card made two ways. So it started off with this card which I made for a challenge at the Paper Players. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. And so I remade it using, really the only thing that's different is the background. So I thought it might be quite an interesting thing to do to just make it with you today, because there's some interesting little techniques that I've used on particularly this background. So this is made using the Joy of Noel bundle, which is my favourite from the 2023 mini catalogue. And if you've watched me regularly, you'll know I've made a lot of things with this. And if you've come to my classes, you know we've done a lot of things with this too. So we'll start off with what you need. I'm actually going to make this one with you, but I'll talk about, the differences with that one as we go along. So obviously the Joy of Noel bundle is the starting point. And I have also used tailor-made tags to make these tags shapes with. Now, tailor-made tags has two different shapes and four different sizes of each. So I've used the largest one of that, but there's absolutely no reason why if you preferred that shape, you could use any shape that you like to make the tags with. So in terms of paper, hang on, I'll just pop that off to the side. Well, I've used Cherry Cobbler as my base because Cherry Cobbler is my favourite red. And so for me, it is my standard card size base. So it's half of an A4 piece of paper, 21 centimetres that way, scored at 10.5 and cut at 14.8. Now, if you're not a metrics person, if you're imperial, just use your standard card size base and adjust the other things accordingly, because this is just my standard card size. Okay, so Cherry Cobbler base. Now, the differences being between the two cards really is this base piece here. Now, for this card, I have used another piece of Cherry Cobbler. It's 0.5 centimetre or about 1/4 inch smaller. So it's 10 centimetres that way and 14.3 that way. And if you were making this card, you would simply cut the same thing in white. So 10 by 14.3. Now you can see that I've already embossed it, and I have used my favourite embossing folder, which is the Distressed Tile 3D folder. I do love these. I love those kind of repeat patterns, and I love the way it sort of misses out bits and gives it that distressed look without being like totally shabby. So Distressed Tile, but again, you could use whatever folder is your favourite. So that. You need a piece for the inside. So again, 10 by 14.3, and you can see that I've already decorated that while I was busy getting ready. I simply stamped that and coloured it. So that's for my inside, so we'll pop that away because we don't need it just yet. Now to make the front, you need a piece of white, obviously that's large enough for the tailor-made tag that you're going to use, and these little pieces here in the set give you like little coloured or whatever colour, you can make them the same colour I guess if you like, but they're reinforcers for the holes, but it's just an opportunity to bring in colour really, because you're not really using it as a label. So I've just cut those in Cherry Cobbler, but again whatever colours you're using. So one of those. Now I've also cut a second tag out of the Joy of Christmas DSP. Now for this one I used, as you can see, the shaded spruce green sort of plaid pattern. When I went to get that today, obviously I've run a few classes since then, I haven't got enough of that, so I've used this one, which again just brings in that shaded spruce colour, because I thought that the strong cherry needed a strong colour. But you could use whichever paper pattern you like, but you need enough of a piece of DSP to cut yourself a second tag. You need a little piece of white to do the stamped spray, and again I have used that little one. I guess there's no reason why I couldn't use the big one, except I'd used that a lot and I wanted to give the little one a run. So I've cut that, I stamped it in tuxedo black, and I coloured it using Stampin' Up blends. I used Cherry Cobbler, shaded spruce and granny apple green to colour that. You need another little piece of white to do the sentiment, and I have already done the sentiment to save us some time. So all I did was I took the Making Spirits Bright, I gold embossed it on white, and then just fussy cut it round, and so those things are done, because really the interesting part about this card is the background. So we will just move all this stuff out of the way, because one thing I will say is that what we're about to do to this is messy. So, already embossed. What I did with it next was I sponged on some ink of the same colour. So I simply took cherry cobbler ink, a blending brush, and got stuck in. Now I've recently replaced all of my ink pads, and so all my ink pads are really juicy. So I'm getting a lot of colour on here, but I'm just going around. And in places it almost looks black, but actually that's quite good, because if you're going to do this, you want people to know you've done it. So I'm just going around. And believe it or not, this is actually not the really messy bit. Okay, this is the quite contained bit. So when you're doing this, you want to absolutely make sure everything that could possibly be damaged, like that inner, is nowhere near what comes next. Now, if in the course of this video you see anything that you would like to add to your craft collection and you live in New Zealand, of course you're more than welcome to shop with me, and there's a link to my online store in the video description below and in the end cards that are going to pop up. But that's only if you live in New Zealand. Okay, so you can see now, you can see quite clearly where I've inked. And if we look at my original sample card here, you can see I've got this lovely sort of gold splatter. This is the messy bit. It's pretty experimental. I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing when I did it. I sort of had this idea that it would work. Turned out it did work. So what I did was I took an acrylic block and I just put some liquid glue on it. Then I got brave and I got my water painter. I just squeezed out a bit of water and made my glue sloppy enough that it would splatter. And this is why you need everything out of your range of splash, because it does potentially get everywhere. So you can see I'm just splatting. And my glue was quite sloppy. Okay, and I think that it's also a good idea to clean up as soon as you can, because I don't want the glue to set into my water painter. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a good squeeze out now, because I don't want to come back and find I've got a glue affected water painter. And actually once I finish filming this video, I'm going to give it an even more of a clean up. Okay, so I've got that. Then I'm going to get even braver, and I'm going to get my embossing powder, gold embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle over some embossing powder. Now you have to be prepared for, you know, one of those projects where you never quite know what you're going to get. Now at the moment, a lot of the embossing powder has stuck to all of that cherry cobbler ink, but again, messy, messy, messy. This is why it's very messy, because now I'm busy flicking embossing powder every which way. And that's okay, because what I'm now going to do to get even messier is I'm going to get in there with a brush, and in the places where I think I've got too much, I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake and a shiver with the brush. I don't want all of it off, because I actually do want a little bit of background glimmer. So it is one of those things where it's like, well, you just kind of do it and see what comes out of it. So okay, so now I'm back and I've heat embossed that, and you can see that you get these lovely little splatters, and you get little bits of sort of gold shimmer where the embossing powder has stuck to little portions of the ink, and I really like that effect. It's quite curious when you are heating it, because what happens on these splatters is you see them start to shimmer, and I think what's happened is the glue and the water have mixed together enough that you can splat the glue, but then the heat kind of evaporates the water and just leaves behind the embossing powder in that sort of pleasing splatter. Anyway, that's something you might like to try sometime, but as I said, best done when you have got nothing around. And you can also see I switched out my paper while I was gone, because there was lots of red ink, lots of gold dust. Didn't want that getting on what we do next. So, assembly time. Straight up, just glue this on. And again, I think if you've listened to me before, you've heard me say that when I'm dealing with texture, I usually put a bit more glue on than I normally would. And I also apply a bit more pressure so that the glue has got time to start attaching itself before you move away. Just looking to see whether there's sort of a way I like better for up. But I don't think so. Okay. Now, if you were doing just the plain white version, by now you'd be finished. By now you would have done your white embossing, and all that we're about to do next you would have already done. Okay, so we've got that going on. Right, what have we got next? Well, we have got our tags, our spray and our sentiment. So I'm going to actually glue the tags together in a way that I find pleasing. So again, that's up to you how you would like to do that. I'm going to do them like that. And you also need something to, create a tie. Now I'm using the Simply Elegant trim combo. And because I like an extravagant swoosh, I'm going for 30 centimetres or 12 inches of the ribbon, of the cord. I'm simply going to fold it in half. Oops. Pop it through the hole, loop it, and then tie it in a bow. Whoops. And then I'm going to attach it to the card front. Now you can faff around with the bow as much as you want to. You can trim it if you feel you'd like to. It's your bow. Do it whatever you like. Now the next place where you've got some choices to make are how you're going to place your tags. You can see here I've made this one quite vertical. Here I've done more of a, an oblique sort of an angle. So again, it's your card. If you like it to look straight up like that, if you want it off on the side like that, it's up to you. And since I've done that one on an angle, I'm going to go for this one more straight uppy downy. And I'm just going to straight up glue it on, lining it up with my grid paper so that I've got a better chance of getting it reasonably straight. And again, because I'm gluing onto texture, I'm just going to press it down a bit harder and a bit longer than I normally would if I was joining together two plain pieces. Now, another thing where you've got some choices to make is I've got my little spray. This one, the spray is attached directly on, just glued straight onto the tags, and this is raised up. For this one, I popped the spray up on dimensionals, and I think I like that look, so I'm going to do that one again. Going to pop on some dimensionals. Regular viewers will know that I do love my dimensionals. I do not like sagging 3D elements, so if there's any doubt about how many dimensionals are required, I'm always going to go more. So I'm always going to go to the top end of the scale. So now we can decide where we're going to pop our spray, and then it's a matter of attaching our sentiment, making spirits bright. Now some of it's going over already raised elements, so I know I need a little dimensional there and a little dimensional here. Now hopefully it's going to fit without having to be cut. A little tip perhaps, when you have done the sentiment and you're doing the fussy cutting, if you manage to leave it the same width as a mini dimensional, you will make life easier for yourself at the end. If you get carried away with really narrowly fussy cutting, you end up having to cut your dimensionals. Okay, is that about right? I'm just checking I don't need more dimensionals than that. I think that'll do us. Restraint. Okay, and then I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue, liquid glue, in that middle bit, just to hold it onto the plate, to the bridge there. And then we can just, again, lining it up with the grid paper to help maximise your chances of getting it straight. Don't tap them until you've checked. Okay, is that straight? Yes. Yes, it is. And then when you're happy that it's straight, then you can press them down and firm up the hold. Now, what else have we got? Some embellishments. Well, I'm using the red and green adhesive backed pearls. I think in some cases they're called festive pearls. On my original one, I used 3 of the gold ones. On this one, for a bit of variety, I used 3 of the red ones. But I think I'm going to revert to form, and I think I'm going to go for some gold ones. You hop off. And then we are all but done, I think. 1, 2, and where will number 3 go? Well, it could go there. I think it will go there. Okay. Okay. So there we have it, people. We have got one card done 2 different ways, and what a different look. For really, the only difference is what colour the background is, and there's a little bit of extra treatment here, the sponging and the splattering and the embossing. Otherwise, it's exactly the same card, 2 different looks. So, which one do you prefer? I hope you've enjoyed sharing this with me today, and I hope you'll give it a go yourselves. If you live in New Zealand and you've seen anything that I've used today that you'd like to add to your craft collection, don't forget you're always welcome to shop with me through the link in the video description below and in the end card. I'm always happy to answer questions, and I can be reached, again, details in the video description below and at the end card. If you've liked what you've seen today and you haven't subscribed already, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. But above all else, everyone, happy stamping.